British Somaliland, in the northwest of present-day Somalia, was a British protectorate which for most of its existence was bordered by Italian Somaliland, French Somaliland and Ethiopia. The protectorate was founded in 1884 after the British signed successive treaties with the then ruling Somali sultans. This meant that Britain gained control and land over British Somaliland, and in return they protected it from unwanted enemies. They used this to guard the Suez Canal, which was an important trading route between Britain and India. British influence in Somaliland meant that the British soldiers in Aden, which happened to be just across the water from Somaliland, had a steady source of meat for which to survive off. I wanted to find out more about Somaliland and its intriguing history, and so I spoke to Rosie Tapper, the head of British office in the capital of this extraordinary state, Hargeisa.
I think it's important to understand that Somaliland was not a fully fledged colony, it was a protectorate. And I think the British objective was really simply to keep Aden supplied with meat and to prevent a hostile presence establishing control of the Somaliland coast. There were not that many British people in Somaliland. They collaborated with some of these merchants, as I say, and I don't think they were necessarily badly treated. I think the British were quite vulnerable in Somaliland, and I think possibly conscious of that. And I think that they knew that they had to galvanise support from a certain segment of the Somaliland population if they were simply to be accepted at all in the protectorate. For security purposes, they needed to raise men who would fight with the British, and I think that militated against treating people particularly poorly. Interestingly, the British also brought some Indian people to Somaliland to support the British effort to maintain the British presence in Somaliland.
India, being such a huge colony for the British Empire, was travelled to frequently, and so natural harbours such as that of Aden were put to use to restock the ships with fresh men, food and drink on their journeys towards India. Due to the rocky terrain and harsh climate in Aden, rearing animals and growing crops to provide for the men was difficult, and so they relied on resources from Somaliland to maintain their position in Aden. This meant that around the port of Berbera, many of the merchants that traded with the British became very wealthy. It generated a good economy around Berbera, and so the port became a focal point for trade and business. However, those from other parts of the region somewhat resented the fact that these people who bought and sold livestock were doing so well. An example is a man who was nicknamed the Mad Miller by the British. He rose up in rebellion against the British presence, which he felt was inconsistent with the traditional Somaliland culture. In the words of the historian Ioan Lewis, in relation to its size and significance, Somaliland was one of Britain's least rewarding possessions. Yet, there's a good case to be made that its marginal status as a colony benefited the country in the long run. Whereas Somaliland had been considered a backwater by the British, and therefore left mostly to govern itself through the existing clan structure. This implies that the lack of interference by the British in Somaliland meant that the relationship between the two was better in the long run, as Somaliland had been left to solely govern itself. Somaliland is a state, region, or even country that is rich with culture and history. Reflecting on my time researching the influence that the British had in Somaliland has made me wonder about what role the UK holds within Somaliland today. Matt Munro, the current Defence Attaché for Ethiopia, Djibouti, the African Union and Somaliland, tells me a bit about what his job entails today.
I'm Matt Munro and I'm the United Kingdom Defence Attaché to Ethiopia, Djibouti, the African Union and also Somaliland. So I'm the United Kingdom Ministry of Defence's representative in the Horn of Africa. I travel and work in Somaliland a fair bit. We have a programme in Somaliland where we work closely with the Ministry of Defence, with the Army and also with the Coast Guard. What we're trying to do in those three institutions is to build capacity. We're trying to improve them because we think, the British government thinks that in order to promote stability in Somaliland, which after all is in a very volatile part of the world, a lot of conflict, we think that to build stability in key institutions is a good thing. And we think that by working with the MOD, with the Army and with the Coast Guard, that we can reduce conflict.